So that had nothing to do with any of it. It's the reason why when it was removed from that particular board that was made by anybody can make, but when it was removed from the GamerGate board, it became its own thing in an own other place that had nothing to do with GamerGate. But the hashtag, I mean, and those boards, they have referred to GamerGate people as gamer gays, as jokes, as everything like that, as let's mess with them, and people like recently, the most recent dox was the Ralph Retort. He was doxed by these people because he was talking about GamerGate, and they didn't like that. They thought it'd be funny. So I mean, it's not like everybody's not in the same fence with this. It's happened to everyone.
I mean, to me, sort of what it looks like at this point is that GamerGate and sort of the GamerGate, I don't know, adjacent sites or GamerGate adjacent users are, I don't know, sort of turning on each other. Like we were talking about in the pre-interview, it sort of seems as though certain tactics have been sort of established and now they're being used on everyone, gamers and non-gamers alike, and being doxxed is one of them.
Yeah, I'll let Sargon, you go ahead and you can take this one out. Okay.
Sorry, what exactly is the question?
The question, we're talking about how she was saying that the GamerGate it's kind of eating itself alive, that kind of mentality.
Yeah.
That mentality. That's what's happening now. There's a lot of people in GamerGate getting doxxed, and there's all this other stuff happening, and people are falling apart, all that kind of stuff.
It certainly looks like it.
I don't really know what to say. I mean, I'm not really bothered about drama on the internet. I'm really concerned about people who are being paid to advise me as a consumer on what products I purchase, because I don't have all the time in the world, which is why I go to gaming journalism sites, and I'm really concerned that they are, frankly, promoting their friends instead of promoting what is actually worth promoting. So, I mean, I don't know, it could be that there is drama going on, but isn't that just a bit between individuals? I mean, Kotaku and Action's got, what, 34,000 people subscribed to it now? I mean, how many of those are involved in that, do you think?
Sargon, didn't you get doxxed?
I did.
And how was that? I mean, you have a kid, right? You have a family. Was that frightening?
Not really.
Not really.
No. I'm not really afraid of what happens on the internet, because it happens on the internet.
Right. And so it doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel related to your life.
Well, no, obviously it feels related to my life, but you have to understand I'm kind of in the wrong country to be worried about these things.
Right, that's true. That's a good point.
The question I have for you, though, how many people do you think are involved in any of this? And how many people do you think are, like, well, just really ignoring it and concerned about the media itself?
How many people do I think are involved in GamerGate?
No, involved in the... You asked about turning on itself or whatever. Just, how many people do you think are involved in that?
In turning on themselves? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but I see an increasing number of people who either say, that they've, tried to leave GamerGate and have been doxxed, or complaining about being doxxed, complaining about being harassed. I think it's revealing that, like, you were doxxed, that somebody like Milo Yiannopoulos was doxxed, people who have given favorable coverage to GamerGate. I mean, it seems like... Well, I think... doxing used to be sort of like the beyond the pale, It was very serious. It was a really serious thing to do to someone. It used to be that, like, doxing documents would show up on places like Pastebin and disappear almost immediately because it was such a big deal. And now I hear about people getting doxed all the time. I was working at Jezebel for a month before someone tried to dox me. It wasn't GamerGate related. It was 4chan related. But, This is something that used to be relatively rare, and now it seems like a tactic that is increasingly used.
To answer your question, Anna, people being doxxed on both sides, it's just to keep people quiet, to scare them away and stop talking about it. I mean,
I think that's true. Yeah.
And that's it. But once again, that's not GamerGate. That has nothing to do with GamerGate. GamerGate did not come out and say, yes, we doxed Sargon, or yes, we doxed me, or yes, we doxed Ralph. They were literally pushed off into these niche groups, like I've told you, that you could go look yourself and say, okay, this board or this person or these people are not this, and it has nothing to do with that, and nobody promotes that kind of stuff. People get really extremely angry. A prime example was there's a writer at The Escapist now named Liz, and she was doxxed, and it was so crazy, it was so messed up that they pulled it all down and everything like that, and people actually got that pulled and pushed off because she had kids and all this other stuff, and it really did scare her and a lot of stuff like that. But people were able to fight that to try to get it off as much as possible. But you know how hard and impossible that is to do. When you it's gonna happen. It's the internet. We can't control what people do, but we can try to be better people along the ways and know what we do. I mean, it's human.
Yeah, what I think is fascinating, though, is to hear, you sort of completely disavow any link between the people that GamerGate pays attention to and them being doxxed. I think the best example is Sarah Nyberg, where, she is not a game developer, she's not a games journalist, but as soon as she started criticizing GamerGate, she was doxxed, and she's been the subject of really nasty death threats because she's trans. We've been hearing a lot of, discussion about how that makes her a deceptive person. You know what I mean? Like, as soon as GamerGate turned their attention towards her, it sort of pointed the trolls in her direction.
I think that's a really unfair statement to make. Are you talking about someone who goes by the name of Sarah Butts?
Yeah.
Yeah. What exactly do you know about this person?
I know probably what you do as far as what she's put on Twitter, but what I've seen,
right?
And what she's written about.
Consider Sarah Butts any kind of provocateur then?
No, I would not. Oh, are you saying she's like an agent for?
No, I'm not saying she's an agent.
You consider her a provocateur?
I'm saying that she deliberately provokes. Do you think that's accurate?
No, I don't. I mean, it seemed like she was criticizing GamerGate's tactics towards people like Zoe Quinn, and immediately became the subject of some pretty serious harassment and doxing herself.
Yeah,
that happened within like a day.
That's a narrative I frankly don't believe, and I don't think that many other people.
Of course not.
Well, no, hold on, Anna.
It's not, of course not. The reason I don't believe it is because I have observed and directly interacted with Sarah Butts, so I know what Sarah Butts is actually like. So,
what is she actually like?
She's a provocateur.
In what way?
In the way that she will lie to try and provoke a reaction.
What are the lies that she's told?
I don't have a list of them off the top of my head.
Okay, I mean, that's a pretty...
And Anna, I recently talked with her as well, and when she got doxxed, she found out that I called her number to let her know to change her number to be safe. I don't know. None of her docs were a part of GamerGate, and when they were removed. Her claims of it, when she gave me an article, I talked with her recently and saying, okay, well, can you do this and that? Her article had no sources, no links. It was just her experience with GamerGate, but she didn't have any proof to show that it was GamerGate. Her proof was pseudo archives. It wasn't even archives. It was like paste bins or random things that anybody could just type up on a fly. No one would know if it's true or not, whether it is, and nothing can account for it. And then when I asked in the middle of the conversation, I added in the Twitter conversation the owners of the GamerGate people that she claimed that allowed this to happen, and they proved that they did not allow it to happen. In fact, they removed it, and that she's not trying to talk about this. And she completely ignored it when I asked her to come on to discuss these things. I've reached out to her multiple times, discuss things, said, come on, and you can discuss your side of the story, explain to people what's going on, and if it's true in GamerGate, we will try. GamerGate will make sure that doesn't happen. That's the point. But she didn't want to do that. She didn't believe that. She just wanted to sit there and continue on with her stories and write her blog and continue to write this narrative that wasn't right. It wasn't factual, and most of it was just, it's kind of hogwash. You're kind of sitting there going, okay, well, you've had your chances to show people what you're talking about, and instead you choose the other route. Why would anybody do that? But more importantly, she had nothing to do with GamerGate. She's not a journalist. She's not about ethics in journalism. Her criticisms were taken into account, and it was proven. And when put to the test, when we gave her just the same amount of criticism, she decided to turn the other cheek and claim that we were harassing her. And it's very odd because no one really did.
I mean, this is what I find, so fascinating about GamerGate, is that talking to you, no one has been harassed. All of these women either made it up, or they brought it upon themselves, or it was a troll. Even somebody like Peter Coffin.
Hold on.
No one said that they haven't been harassed.
Okay, what we're saying it has nothing to do with GamerGate?
As far as I can tell, and I've been quite involved from the start, I've never seen anyone who I know in GamerGate harassing anyone. And I've never seen anyone from GamerGate that that's just tangential harassing someone.
Okay, let's talk about Peter Coffin.
Well, hold on. Peter Coffin.
I mean, I don't like
Peter
that.
Coffin,
I think.
Hold
Okay,
on,
go ahead.
Anna, hold on. Peter Coffin has nothing to do with GamerGate. None of these people have anything to do with GamerGate. It's going to be the same answer, no matter how many times we look at it. It's going to be.
I know.
They're not journalists. They have nothing to do with GamerGate. Peter Coffin making videos is him making videos. Once again, if you go to a board called Cow, that is his information there, or whatever's going on with him there. That is not GamerGate. It does not say GamerGate on it. Nobody's still using the hashtag. They actually, in fact, call people GamerGays. So there's nothing about that is GamerGate. What matters right now is journalists and who we're talking about. I think the next, if you wanted to talk about more stuff, you could talk about Movie Bob and how I had a developer who worked on the Mass Effect project on here who was afraid. He stated that if he saw Movie Bob show up at PAX or at GDC, he would have him removed because he believed that he was a neo-Nazi, anti-Semite, and he was Jewish, and he was very afraid for his life because of the things he was saying to him on Twitter. And now that is a guy who works at The Escapist, who is a journalist, and this is a guy who is going around berating other game developers because he doesn't agree with their opinions or how they make their games, to the point where people felt that he was not an anti-Semite, that he was going to hurt them at a games convention. And this is... So, that is what we talk about in GamerGate. That is what GamerGate is. Those kind of conversations is what we care about and what we strive for. Peter Coffin and Zoe Quinn and all that stuff, I told you before, there's a reason why we call them literally who's. Who are they? We don't want to discuss them. They have nothing to do with the topic. They're not journalists. They have nothing to do with anything about that. The closest thing they have is they might be friends with the journalist that we're discussing, but nothing more.
So you think it's just sort of a collection of people who have nothing to do with GamerGate, who just happen to be following GamerGate very closely?
Oh, hang on. Okay, I can.
Hold
I
on,
can
hold on.
answer-
Go look up the hashtag A-Team. Those people primarily went around to harass these people or did these things intentionally for the lulz, and they openly come out and say it, and they think it's funny. Now, but they're not GamerGate. They are A-Team. That's what they call themselves. Another one is GNAA. Another one was BWS. These people are there, and they openly announce that, yes, we're not GamerGate, we're doing these things, but we're going to use your hashtag anyway. It's an anonymous movement. You cannot control who comes in and out. Angry Joe said it himself in the best way possible. It is what causes a massive problem and what isn't. You have to focus on the good rather than the bad. The minority, or the majority versus the minority, and that is the truth. But they are not GamerGate, and they're not going to be GamerGate, and they're not journalists. So they're nothing that we're going to discuss when it comes to that stuff. They are just people who have gotten harassment from different types of groups that have no relation to GamerGate whatsoever.
Right, they just sort of happen to be converging on some of the same people that GamerGate are discussing.
And they got caught in the firearms of third-party trolls, and it sucks. It's horrible, and I hope those people pay for whatever they've done. But it has nothing to do with GamerGate.